Welcome guys back to another video on the best solar channel on the planet. This video is going to be geared towards agency owners already in the space looking to scale or people that are just looking to start an agency. Okay. So we're going to talk about the only way to actually scale your agency without burning out or losing your mind, right? Now, two themes I'm going to reference in this video over and over and over again. Okay. One is you shouldn't be doing all the work yourself. You should always have a fulfillment partner and you should focus on only one side of the business. And the second thing is we're going to actually talk about why the only way to scale, if you want to scale without having to go out of pocket every single time when you're acquiring new clients, the only way to scale is if you have a high ticket service. If you don't have that, or an offer, right? I should say, if you don't have these two things, I guarantee you it's going to be very, very difficult to scale your agency. The reason why is because I can tell you a personal story. When I started in the back at the back end of 2019, I personally had decided that I'm not going to be a nerd behind a computer. I'm not going to learn these Facebook ad stuff and whatever. That could have been a mistake, but actually I chose to go after, sales and marketing. I didn't have any mentors. I didn't have anyone telling me what to do and so on. I was just like, I can't do the Facebook ads or I can't do, the service delivery. I'm going to focus on the marketing and the advertising and actually push the business forward. And then I'm going to basically have a partnership with somebody that's good on the service delivery. And that's exactly what I did. Later on, I actually ended up hiring employees and other freelancers and so on and so forth. But that's how I actually started. The only thing I didn't do, which I'm going to tell you right off the bat, is I didn't have a high ticket offer. My offer was a very generic offer, which is a retainer model, charging about 15 to 2,500 a month, and that was the end of that. So it was very difficult to scale with that. But we're going to talk about it very, very shortly. So the two pillars of scaling the agency. So you got to sell high ticket first. That's the foundation of your scaling uh, process, right? Low ticket will always equal slow death. You're going to end up with more work, more clients, and less profit. The high ticket, on the other hand, means fewer clients, higher margins, and easier growth. I'm going to give you an example. I used to sell my services for $1,500 a month or $2,000 a month. So if I wanted to get to $100,000 a month, and I've also had services that I sold for $15,000 or more, and I can tell you, I would choose the $15,000 one time, right? Then $1,500 a month, because it just like any agency model, there's natural attrition. And usually where a lot of agency owners actually, screw up is they get a couple of clients and then now instead of focusing on, just acquiring more clients essentially and just growing the business, they stop what got them to the place where they have a couple of clients, and they stop doing that and they try to service those clients and those clients leave anyway. So you get natural churn. So basically, in a month or two or three, you're back at square one without any more clients than what you originally had. So I'm going to tell you this. This is not a way to definitely scale. If you want to create a job for yourself, if you want to be a commodity in the space, then by all means, you can do the 1,500 a month. You can do 1,000 a month, whatever you want to do. You can do the generic retainer, boring ass model that is absolutely obsolete. And I'm going to tell you this, you're competing with just about anybody. So to me, that's a race you can never win, because there's always somebody, just like it is in solar, there's always somebody. That's why I don't like to sell on price, because there's always somebody that's willing to undercut you and actually, either lie to the customer and offer them a cheaper quote, or just straight up barely make any commission. How are you going to grow your business that way? You're not able to do that. I'm going to tell you, I prefer to charge $15,000 for my service one time than have 1,500 a month and expect the client to spend 10 months with me so that I can get that $15,000 out of that client. What do you think is more likely to actually happen? To have somebody pay me $15,000 on day one, or to have a client stay with me for 10 months and beyond? I'm going to tell you that having a client to stay on with you for over 10 months is, in the agency space, is pretty spectacular. Like when you start to talk about, 10, 12 months and beyond, like you're starting to essentially, compete with the SaaS numbers. Like if you had a SaaS business, you're looking at that sort of retention, but this ain't no SaaS. You're selling a service, right? And that's what I'm telling you. If you're charging low ticket, you're going to be stuck for a very long time. And you're going to have a lot of clients just leave naturally. Attrition always happens in the business, right? One thing I could tell you is you got to structure your offer in a way so that it has those two things I originally mentioned. So it has the high ticket and it has the fulfillment partner, so that you're not the one actually performing or doing the service. Why? Because even if you charge high ticket, here's actually the caveat, right? If you charge high ticket and you told yourself, well, you know what? I'm going to charge high ticket and I'm going to be the one doing everything. Or maybe I'm going to have like a, couple of people that are performing everything. They're going to work for me or whatever. But actually you're still stuck in doing everything mode. And instead of, passing that over to your fulfillment partner, passing that client over for onboarding and not have to deal with them, and going back to what actually gets you paid, which is getting more clients consistently. So your fulfillment partner is going to solve your biggest bottleneck, which will always be you if you decide to do everything yourself, right? The biggest bottleneck in the agency space is trying to do the delivery, the sales, and the marketing. You'll never be able to basically cure that. I can tell you that. Especially if you're starting out and the only cure, I don't know if you've heard this saying, but it's actually true. Sales cures all. I can't tell you how many times I've found myself in a situation where, I get a few clients and now I'm so excited. Actually, I want to help these people. And I stop doing what got me these clients in the first place. And I start thinking about how we're going to actually deliver for them. And little did I know that they're probably going to leave me three months down the line or whatever anyway, because in solar, there's a lot of attrition. In solar, if you don't know anything about it, in solar, especially when I started out, now there's a lot of EPCs, a lot of, fulfillment partners, like installation companies that actually pay, they actually install pretty fast. So you're able to get your money relatively quickly. But back when I started in 2019 and 2020, like people were waiting for 3 months to get paid. And so, what would happen to a lot of my clients? A lot of people actually ended up leaving because they spend money for a month or two and they run out of money. So they have no money for marketing, no money to continue to pay us for the service, which was the retainer. And so they're just waiting to recoup their investment. And they wait and they wait and they wait. And some clients come back, some clients don't. And that's just the reality of how the solar industry really used to work. And in a sense, it still does work that way even today. But back then in 2020, I can tell you that it was even worse. Okay. So I'm telling you, sales really does cure all, and you should never get your foot off the gas. It should always be pedal to the metal. And even if you're not sure if you're actually, can fulfill on these promises that you've made, I mean, of course, you should always kind of know how to prepare your clients so that they know that, okay, I'm actually getting a genuine service here. But your fulfillment partner should be the one that actually fills you with confidence, because the confidence that you gain from your fulfillment partner, you could take that to heart. And now when you're in a sales call, you can pass that conviction over to the client, the prospect, so that you end up closing more people that way. So you're not even a part of the fulfillment anymore. Okay. So your only job as a successful agency owner should be to sell the vision, acquire the clients, and let your fulfillment partner handle everything. Okay. You got to make sure that your fulfillment partner obviously have a proven track record in delivery, can handle multiple clients at scale, and basically a good fulfillment partner is somebody that doesn't nag, somebody that doesn't, that knows what they're doing, and they have the bandwidth to take essentially as many clients as I want, or have the means to send them. Okay. So the reason why this works so well is because you only have two things to worry about: the marketing and sales side of business, which is the lifeblood of every agency business, right? You don't want to be the bottleneck. You're going to be the rainmaker. I'm going to tell you this. When I had 50 clients at a time and everybody thought they were my boss, that was the most exhausting shit ever. And they were all paying me retainers, small retainers every single month. I would never go back to this ever again because it doesn't work. I wish I watched a video or somebody just opened my eyes and tell me, hey, I don't even think high ticket was a thing back then, honestly. It doesn't seem like too long ago, but in 2020, everybody was doing retainers. And so now it's just the only way to really kind of have a sustainable business is to have a high ticket service and have somebody else do the fulfillment. When you have a high ticket service, the greatest thing about it is that you could pay yourself. You can pay for, you can have cover the cost per acquisition that it costs you to acquire that client. You can pay any salespeople that you have on your team, because even if it's you now doing all the closing, all the selling, everything yourself, and the marketing, at some point, if you plan on scaling, you're going to have to hire salespeople. So you can cover the fulfillment. You can cover the cost per acquisition to acquire that client. You can pay your sales team. You can pay if you want to do a setter closer model or just closers, for example. You could pay that sales team, and you still have money left over to go and actually acquire more people. So with that one client, you take that client's money, you take care of essentially everything. You pay out all the commissions. You're able to cover whatever it costs you to acquire that client. You take the extra money and you pour that shit back into the business in more marketing, more advertising, getting you more meetings booked so that you can end up with more clients, right? I can't honestly I can't tell you how important that is. If you don't do this, you're going to suffer. You're not going to actually, you're not going to have a very smooth process, right? I know it may seem like, to me, it seemed like very, very basic, basic stuff that everybody should know, right? Of course, always make sure that you have more money, that the client's paying you, and you're not just left with, zero at month one and you're just hoping to make more money as time goes on. This is not how you should run your business. I'm telling you, it would not work. Okay. I tried it and I managed to scale it to a decent, to a decent point. But if I could go back in time, I would always choose high ticket. All right. I'm going to tell you this right now. The best possible thing you could sell is high ticket, right? And if you're actually interested, we can do all the fulfillment for you. So if you're interested in a full-blown fulfillment partner that can essentially, let you focus on the marketing and the sales. Not only that, but I'm also going to show you how to actually go out and get these clients. I'm going to leave a link in the description down below so you can book a call. I'm going to do I'm going to do a demo call, and it's going to be me on the call. You're going to be able to experience exactly the system that we have built in here. And then if you, of course, I'll leave it up to, if you have any questions, we can always, we can always go over them. But I'm telling you, doing this right now at this moment, not in a year from now, but right now, this is the best possible thing that you can do, because AI is a buzzword. Everybody knows that they should have AI in their business implemented, because AI is already here. It's not the future. And like I said, those two things that you need to focus on is have a fulfillment partner, somebody that can actually take care of the service delivery. And you can also, so you focus on the marketing and sales, and you actually do high ticket. Those are the two main things. If you have any questions, or you want me to do another video specifically talking about something else related to what I talked about in this video, or even if it's not related, put it down in the comments below. I'll consider it, and maybe next video will be about that. Appreciate you. Thanks so much for sticking around, and I'll see you again in the next one.